Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live Love here. Oh my gosh, you fell off the window. And today's message, oh my gosh, is about scarcity motivates but abundance inspires. Hang on a sec, I'm using this sticky thing on a window and let's just push it on there a little bit more and see how we go. But I really want to bring this message to you guys today because ultimately I was in the car last night and I was chatting to a friend of mine and we were talking about, life, just about how we can really tap into inspiration. And this is what sort of came up for me. So I was sort of talking into my past story about, where I've kind of come from in my life. And a big piece of it is the journey into what I do right now. And what I was sort of talking into was about, I think it was back in 2015, so a couple of years ago. That's when I actually was making some big major changes in my life. And I sort of burnt the boats and I decided I wanted to move over to Europe and the UK and travel around there for about 10 months. And when I did that, I had absolutely no idea how I was going to make that happen financially. I just started really, I was only probably a year or so into starting an online business. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm going to cut all ties to any sort of support network that I had going on at that time or income from other sources and just go all out and just burn the boats and go for it. And it was an incredible 10 months of traveling around, I think 13 or 14 different countries. It was incredible, but there were so many lessons learnt because it was a really challenging journey, and one in which I can reflect upon now and recognize just how much I was operating in a scarcity mindset. At times, traveling with my ex-partner, there were times throughout that journey where we had no idea how we were going to pay for our accommodation that we needed to book in for next week or a couple of days later. We had no idea at points in time as to like how we were even going to eat. There were times on that journey where I remember we were in France, in the south of France, in Nice, and we literally had like $4 to go and survive on, go and like buy a baguette and and just survive on that. And it was so up and down. We'd get some income come in and then we wouldn't manage it and then just go, and then we'd be back to square kind of one. And it was just like a total survival mindset, and what I really came to recognize throughout that journey was that we couldn't get the traction, we couldn't remain consistent. It was really taking a toll, not only on our own selves, from a health aspect, we weren't living in our values, but also on our relationship. It was a real struggle for a lot of that journey. But, we were never able to really stay majorly consistent in terms of what we were looking to do in terms of contribution. Because, think about it, like when you don't even know where you're going to live the next week and you're trying to make it all happen. You don't know where your income's coming from. You don't have a consistent paycheck. And you're trying to manage and juggle everything. You're trying to manage and juggle your health, your relationship, your business that you're starting to build, and you're traveling into different countries with languages you've never spoken before, and and you don't know how to even get there or navigate it, and you take on the role of so many different things, just trying to book your accommodation, trying to figure out how do we get from A to B, how do we build something, how do we grow, how do we look after our health in this new location we've just arrived in. And it was totally like an uncertain journey for 10 months. And it was so good for growth, but particularly what I'm bringing this message to you guys about today is really what I learned in terms of how scarcity motivates us. Scarcity gets us into action, like survival, like we've got it, we don't have any money, like where are we going to go next? What are we going to do? And, operating from that realm made it so that we would really start to take action on something, but it'd have to come from this like place of pain, like we need something, it's a neediness. Scarcity is such a needy sort of energy. and it motivates you to get into action and get moving in a certain direction. But ultimately, you know, when I, just at the beginning of this year, you know, I shifted out of that relationship, I shifted out of my business, and I went into my own thing, and I just literally dropped all the expectations. I dropped all the rules that I'd gathered up and you know, that was sort of accumulating over those years. And I said, no, you know, I am going to focus, I'm going to shift my focus from all that's missing and that scarcity mindset. I'm going to shift it into an abundance, into all that I have to be grateful for. And I'm going to drop all the rules and the expectations, and I'm just going to be genuine. I'm just going to be authentic, and I'm just going to come from that place, and I'm just going to be consistent. And from that place, you know, that's where I really started tapping into the feeling of inspiration, you know, where you're not filtering anything through anyone or any expectation, and you're coming from a place of true authenticity and genuineness, from a place of what are your highest values, what matters most to you, and you start really aligning with that. Despite what fears come up, despite the judgments, despite the criticism, despite your own limitations and the expectations that you hold on yourself, you know, throwing that all out the window and coming from a place of alignment, that is where we tap into true inspiration. And that comes from an abundant mindset. And ultimately, that is how we stay consistent in the things that really matter to us. That is how we tap into and live in alignment with what our values are. And that is how we can contribute our greatest gifts to the rest of the world, no matter what scale that is on. So I think that each and every one of us, we have to have this kind of journey of, you know, shifting out of our scarcity and our survival. And particularly that sort of stuff happens when, you know, we're making major transitions in our lives and we're kind of walking a path we've never walked before. But ultimately, you know, through experience, I really know, like, when I'm shifting back into that pattern of scarcity, it doesn't feel good. I don't feel energized. Something has to motivate me. I have to try and find a better flavor to bring to something. And I start shooting all over myself instead of dropping it all and coming from a place of trust, faith within the self, with, you know, tapping into what feels right to me at my core with no filter. That is how we shift to an abundant mindset and ultimately tap into our inspiration. And that is what that's what juices us. That's what gives us so much energy. And nobody has to motivate us. We tap into our own inspiration and we go from that place. So I'm really hoping that today's message is resonating with you guys, just on top of mind, like I said, based on a conversation I was having just yesterday. And I felt called to sort of bring this message to you that, you know, scarcity might motivate you into action, but it's an abundant mindset that really inspires. It allows you to tap into inspiration, which is your ultimate fuel source for life and everything meaningful to you. So, want to check in with you guys, and like I'm always saying, each and every day, if you haven't already, you've got to come on over and join the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community, where we're all reaching the next level of our limitless potential, discovering our geniuses, unleashing our greatness, and definitely tapping into inspiration. So make sure that you do that, click on the link and come and join us. And let's see who's been able to join. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, you guys know how much I love engaging with you. So now is the time to drop it below and I will check in with each and every one of you. I've got Stephen and Renee and Tim and Bina and Rodolph, I think, and Mahindapal and Holly and Salvo and Juan Manuel, I think that's how you say it. And Jeremy's here. And good morning to you, Mahindapal. And Gabrielle and Lugamba and Ram and Samit and Thomas and Victoria and Jani. Really like your thoughts, the way you speak. Oh, thank you so much, Jani. I appreciate having you here. I'm grateful that you're finding some value here. And Tracy and Rashad and Gabrielle, you're so adventurous. Yes, well, it was a crazy 10 months. But yeah, and it's definitely given me some insights as to how I like to travel, and I don't need to go back to that kind of scarcity way of living. That was, really took a toll. You know, if you ever want to grow, definitely go traveling. And if you really, really want to grow, travel with your partner and start an online business with them where you don't have anything backing you. That is a really big place to grow. Thanks, Gabrielle and Vince and Robbie. Good afternoon from Atlanta. I love it. And Juan from Peru. And Vince and Jayward and Lisa. Ram, this topic is very important. I'm grateful that you're finding it important. And Les is here, and Vince. And great to have you, Vince, and Lisa from Douglasville. Awesome. And Akin and Tanya and Ons and Leah. Awesome to have you. And Ons, thank you for your kind words there. And Simo and Albert, thank you for sharing this. Be blessed. Have a great day. Same to you, Albert. I'm grateful that this is resonating. And Ashley's here, and Nikki and Bina, you're so welcome. And Rian and Corey and Eric's back. I love it. And Lisa, start focused, be consistent until. Yes, absolutely. Scarcity motivates life of abundance. I love that. Absolutely, Lisa. Appreciate you being here. And Juan Manuel, I believe in taking the jump into new horizons. Absolutely. You know, some of the best things that have happened in my life have been in those times where I have just burnt the boats and gone for it. And I don't recommend it for necessarily everybody. For me, I have a mindset of, you know, that uncertainty, that I thrive in the uncertain. Anything new, anything uncertain, any path I haven't yet ventured, like I have a mindset or a belief instilled in me that I'm going to thrive in this arena. So it kind of, depending on your belief system, you know, it's either going to spring you into action or place you in a bunch of fear. But, you know, like I'm always saying to you guys, I welcome fear. I love fear because I know I'm going to grow. I know I'm going to learn. I know I'm going to make it out the other side. And so I welcome it, even though sometimes when I'm in it, I kind of wish I didn't bring it on so much. But I love that one, Manuel. I think I'm saying your name wrong, but I appreciate you. And Gabrielle, a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. Yes, I love that. I love how you put that. And Danielle and Sunsia Ray. Amen. Love it. And Lisa, you have to know what cycle you're in due season. Yep, that's definitely, you can look at it that way. And Corey, I'm loving that this resonated. And Ram, scarcity may be in a few areas of life. Abundance is holistic. Abundant mindset is the key to long-lasting happiness. Absolutely. And I think that an abundant mindset is really our true state of being. But that scarcity, you know, that's all those fears that come up. You know, we've just got to be conscious that we're living a human experience. Fear is always going to be a part of our experience, but it's whether we can build our mindfulness around it so that we don't allow it to run the show, and we can recognize when we're falling back into those old scarcity patterns that really just limit us. So it's about consciously, you know, building back that abundant mindset and making that shift. Absolutely, Ram. Thank you so much. And Rochelle, what's the action plan? How to execute? Oh, Richard, sorry. What's the action plan? How to execute? Well, you know, everything that I talk about it's all about building our emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence has always, the first step is self-awareness. If you're not aware of what patterns are at play, or you're not starting to build that awareness, then ultimately there's no growth from that point. So first step is always, where in my life, you know, have a look in your life. Where in my life am I coming from a place of scarcity? Am I letting fear run the show? And you'll know it, you feel it. You've got to start tapping into the body's intelligence of what feels right to you and what doesn't feel right. You know, there's so much intelligence that we have access to throughout our body and not just the mind. And so I would start on the journey of building self-awareness by asking yourself quality questions that will help generate that space between what's actually happening and your ability to determine that and be thoughtful about it. So definitely asking yourself the question, where in my life, in what areas of my life am I really living in scarcity, in fear? Am I feeling like I'm gonna lose something? Instead of, my focus is on, all that I don't have or all that I could lose, as opposed to an abundant mindset, which is focused on, all that you do have, all that you have to be grateful for, and it's future focused and it's positive expectancy. So you've got to start recognizing what's the difference between a scarcity mindset and abundant mindset. How can I recognize that within myself? Look at the different areas of your life, and then ultimately ask yourself the tough questions that will build that self-awareness, and that's how you start making the shifts between where you might be in that scarcity mindset and you've defined what abundance looks like, and you can start making the shifts in that direction. So I hope that was helpful for you, Richard. I so appreciate your questions and for you being here. Let me know if I can clear anything up for you. And Holly, hello beautiful lady, love catching you live. Thanks so much, you're so welcome, and I always love seeing you join me, Holly. So awesome. And Rashid, Vanessa, I learn every day thanks to you. Grow is no more than ever. I hope that you continue. Thank you so much, Rashid. I'm so grateful that you keep showing up and that you're gaining value from these messages. That absolutely lights me up and touches my heart. It's the reason why I do what I do. So thank you so much for letting me know. And I'll continue on as long as you guys are finding this valuable. I'm never stopping. I get so much from getting to engage with you guys and share what's valuable to me in the hope that it's valuable to you too. And definitely, if you guys have any ideas as to how I could be adding more value to you, I'd love to hear from you. So let me know if there's particular topics or things that you are struggling with that you'd love to have me talk into, then definitely let me know. And I so appreciate you, Rashid. Thank you so much. And Lily's here, and Ram, scarcity makes us react to overcome situations. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean by it might motivate us, it motivates us into action, where we get enough pain that we have to take action, but it's so stop-start, it doesn't ever really feel good. So that's what I want you guys to be tapping into, is the difference between the feeling. What does it feel like to be in that scarcity mindset versus an abundant, inspired mindset? There's such a vast difference, and I was totally unaware as to what that was. So we have to go on the journey, and we have to have the experiences to be able to tap into and be able to build that awareness and move in the direction of inspiration and abundance. So I love that, Ram. And Jason's here, and Ram, abundance comes from being proactive. Absolutely. We have to. If we just live life by default, we're going to default into our fears, into that scarcity mindset pretty easily. And you're absolutely right, Ram, that we have to be proactive. We have to design our lives with the abundance at mind, to be able to move in that direction. Rewire our brains, because our brains are built for survival. They're built to focus on what's missing, on scarcity, what we might lose, where we're in danger, as opposed to future positive expectancy and being inspired and having trust and faith that things are working out just as they should. So I absolutely agree with you there, Ram. Thanks for sharing. And Sunsia Ray from Macon. I don't know where that is. Or Mason. I don't know if I said it right, but I appreciate you being here. And Kellerman and Nassar and George, holla, from Florida. I love it. And Naomi and Corey. Oh, I'm so grateful that you're finding these Facebook Lives of value, Corey. Thank you so much. And George, tarping up roofs, helping people, putting others first. Yes, definitely. I love that you're on that journey there, George. And Mark and Apatea, good morning to you, and you're so welcome. And Sanjay, and George, salutations to all Floridans. We're here for you. Thank you, Vanessa, for your words of encouragement. Absolutely, George, anytime. I so appreciate you checking in. And Brian's here, and Jen's here. Love it. And Max, and Saprit, and Julie, and Rochelle, yes, and Patty, and Inoxent, and Albert. Love that you're catching me live. Absolutely. And Mercedes is here, and Jen. First thing I do every morning is send an intention or set an intention for the day. Love this, Vanessa. Absolutely, Jen. And that's what we're talking about, being proactive. You know, really setting ourselves up to win with that abundant mindset. I love that you do that, Jen. That's so awesome to hear. And Hassani, good to see you. How do you tap into an abundant mindset when you don't really feel abundant financially, personally? What a great question, as always. And, you know, this is what I mean by, I feel like so many of us, we need to kind of have a few experiences to be able to recognize, you know, oh, like I was in scarcity. Oh, that's what abundance feels like. We have to kind of navigate that. But I definitely think that being proactive, like we're talking about, you know, like Jen mentioned about setting intentions, I'm a huge believer in that. But you've got to be able to define for yourself, what does scarcity look like, feel like? How have I been operating in that realm? And what is an abundant mindset? What does it feel like when I've tapped into inspiration at pivotal moments in my life? What does that feel like? We've got to define, you know, where we are, where we want to get to before we can close the gap. And definitely being intentional about it. So define what abundance is, and then start setting daily intentions about operating from that kind of way of thinking, and define what it looks like in your relationships, in your health, you know, in your finances, and definitely in everything that you do. But what I would say also there, Hassani, because I know what it felt like, you know, when I was traveling those 10 months, and I felt so like I'd never had to worry about money in my life. I'd never thought about it that way. And, you know, that was a real crazy time, you know, and really having to struggle financially to be like, to really recognize what it feels like. And what I would say, if I was to give my past self advice in terms of that scarcity, is because I used to just be like, well, we've got money now, let's just spend it and forget about like financial worries, you know, and obviously that gets you somewhere, that gets you the certain results that you fear most. So what I would actually say is to find a way to focus on all that you do have in your life, you know, instead of focusing on, you know, where you don't feel abundant, where you feel in scarcity around finances. Focus on the areas in your life where you actually have abundance, and also financially challenge yourself to find out, you know, a lot of people, you know, you might have like say credit card debt, right? And you focus on like the debt, but you're not focusing on all that you were given with that finance, you know, what that got you, you know. So just making these sort of simple shifts can help bring us back into an abundance, bring us back into a gratitude. Gratitude is the pathway to abundance. And so when we can do that, that's when we can start moving forward. Because I'm telling you now, when we stay trapped in a scarcity mindset, we never make traction. You know, so we have to find a way, no matter how difficult, no matter how challenging it feels right now, because you might look at it and you're like, well, I have no money, I'm in a lot of debt. You know, if we stay stuck in scarcity and we're trying to wait for abundance to kind of hit us in the face, we just continue to generate that same experience of scarcity, getting the same set of results. So we have to get intentional. We have to define what abundance looks like. We have to start being grateful for all that we do have and move in that direction, because when we tap into abundance, that's where we get our inspiration. And like I said, inspiration is your greatest fuel in life. So that inspiration is your ticket out of that scarcity sort of situation, or those results of, say, financial, not doing too well in the finance department, but you have to shift to an abundance to get the inspiration, to get consistent fuel, to get out of it. So I hope that was helpful. I hope I didn't go around too many circles there for you there, Hassani. I so appreciate your questions and you being here as always. And Eric, motivated? Yes, more than ever, because I'm going to buy my ticket to go to the firewalking in October 28th. Awesome. A bit of Tony Robbins action. I love it. You won't regret it. I always recommend every single person, no matter how expensive you think it is, I'm telling you, you will walk out of there feeling like that was absolutely priceless. I guarantee you. So I love that you're doing that, Eric. I'd love to hear your experience. And Martin's here, and Ben from Puerto Vallarta. I have no idea where that is, but it sounds great. And Mercedes, I think our purpose in life is to help others making what we know to do. Yeah, absolutely. That's how we can contribute to our highest potentials, is to go through on our own growth journeys, and then be able to reach back to those, that we're further along the timeline of, and help fast track their success based on our experience and simplification of how we got there. So I absolutely agree there, Mercedes. And you're so welcome, Opatea and Mercedes. I mean, doing the best thing we know to do for them. Yeah, definitely. And Elaine and Samir and Joseph and Hassani. Awesome. I can see that there is abundance in my life in many ways. I'll show that to my, I'll slow that to be my focus. Thanks, V. Awesomeness as usual. Always, Hassani. I'm loving that resonated. And Eric, thanks Vanessa for your words and inspirations that always make me feel better. Oh, I'm so grateful for you, Eric. Thank you so much for letting me know. And Juanjo, hello to you. And Jolene and Tahia, awesome guys. I am sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. And for everybody who's just joining me, I hope that you guys catch the recording and get a ton of value from today's message, because I'm just about to sign off. But it's a really important one in terms of shifting our mindsets, and by design, creating more abundance and inspiration, your greatest source of fuel for living a life on purpose, living a fulfilled life. We need to tap into that. We need to get intentional, and ultimately scarcity is only going to motivate us into sporadic action, whereas when we can shift to an abundant mindset, we get this constant surge of inspiration, which is just a beautiful fuel that it feels amazing. We get to live in alignment with the truth of who we are, and that is a beautiful space to be in. So guys, I'm sending you all of my love, and if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. I will definitely get back to you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you're having an amazing day or night wherever you are.